The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Telly Olsen. I am back with the New York Mets in the zone. Only one of the three mavens are here. Marty Rose and Bernie Rose are indisposed, but I've got Robert Cole. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Ralph. Doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Let's just both keep that up. Doing the best we can for old guys. How about that?
That's right. Hey, we're still here talking.
Right. It's a privilege to be old, as a matter of fact, because some don't make it, and we did. So,
yes.
And we're not elderly. We're up there a little bit, but the way I look at it, 76 is the new 75.
Exactly.
I'll take that year any day of the day. Let's talk a little Mets. We had quite a road trip out to my neck of the woods in California, 7 out of 10. Yet Mets fans came away, I'm sure, like myself, a little disappointed. Split the series with San Francisco, and the way I look at it, the Giants have been struggling, and you want to beat them when you can and stop on them. We'll need those wins down the road. But if anybody ever said that we'd be 7-3 on that road trip, we would have taken that. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. And what we have to remember, too, is the Giants started to get some of their key players back. You know, Conforto had been out. He's back. Jock Peterson came back yesterday and had a big hand in, the Giants win. So, in a way, the Giants, I believe, is starting to wake up. And, the Mets split, got out of there. And I think the Giants are going to start winning some games.
I know Michael Duca, the official scorer and a member of Comfortably Zoned, did a show with Jerry Feidelberg and I, and he stressed not going to sleep on the Giants. Their relief pitching has been terrific, and you never know. They're not all that far behind in their division. And I'm satisfied, like I say, not ecstatic, but satisfied with the trip. Can you tell me what, in the way you see it, what's responsible for their doing well on that trip?
They got hitting when they needed it most of the time. They got some pitching from guys that they, really didn't expect to get some pitching from. The bullpen is good. Nemo and McNeil are red hot, and Alonso seems to hit a home run every time they needed one. And, they just did. You have to remember they beat the Athletics to begin with, 4 games straight, and struggled a little bit in those 4 games. And, then beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. Now, the Dodgers haven't hit their stride yet either. So, the Mets sort of caught a break by being on the West Coast swing when the Giants and Dodgers weren't playing their best. And you'll take that, You get out of there 7-3. I'm perfectly happy with that.
Speaking of the Dodgers, I looked up the other day. The starting shortstop is Mookie Betts. Now, that is a terrific athlete. Started out as a second baseman, went to the outfield, and apparently they think enough of him to have him play shortstop. I don't think they made a good move getting rid of Trey Turner.
According to Dodger fans, Trey Turner wasn't coming back no matter what. He wanted to go to the Phillies, with his Las Vegas buddies, and he was set. His mind was set that he was leaving, no matter what. So I don't know so much that they let him get away as he was going no matter what.
Okay, they didn't have much of a choice, in other words.
Right. And, they made a trade for a shortstop with the Marlins, Miguel Rojas. Problem is, Rojas is always hurt, and he's hurt again. So, which is the reason why, they're trying Mookie Betts at short.
Okay. But I got to give him props to be able to play 3 major league positions out of the blue like that. All of a sudden, you're a shortstop. What an athlete.
Well, yeah. But now, we wait and see whether, in fact, he can play the position. Being a good athlete doesn't guarantee you're going to be able to be a good shortstop. But we'll see.
No, he came over the bag on a double play that first game, looking good. So sometimes it helps being a good athlete. And they're raising a different type of ball player today. Versatility has never been in vogue like it is today. Not just the Dodgers, not just the Mets, but you could use the Mets as an example. McNeil plays literally all over the place. Left field, right field, second base. That's a good athlete to me.
Oh, absolutely. But, think back now, as so many of these new things have come about, who started it? The Tampa Bay Rays. Okay? The Tampa Bay Rays with Ben Zobrist, basically started, the utility, play everywhere kind of guy. And now every team, is adopting that.
You're from that area. I would consider you to be a fan of the Rays in the American League.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you're not a jumper on the bandwagon, but the bandwagon has gotten very, very big, and you were there from the beginning. Give me a history of why they're so good, and with the A's leaving, I want to know, will Tampa be able to keep their team? So it's a 2-part question.
It appears that, they're going to stay here. Why, the owner, did that crazy nonsense with, half the year in Tampa and half the year in Montreal. I don't know, but that got quashed pretty quickly. It appears that they will be able to stay here, and that's good. That's a good thing. Why they're as good as they are is that they get the best out of each player and don't ask him to do more than they can do. I follow them. I follow them every day, and even I'm amazed at some of the guys they bring up from the minor leagues who I wasn't even aware of. And they just have a knack of taking guys from other teams, working with them, and all of a sudden, they become really good major league players. And, it's fairly amazing. It's amazing what they're doing this year. Going into tonight, they'd only lost 3 games.
Okay. What's their minor league system like? Do they have an outstanding developer of talent, or is it the draft that's keeping them going? What's their system like?
Well, they draft very well, but they also make trades that, you kind of shake your head and wonder what they're doing. Like they took their starting shortstop, Willie Adames, traded him to the Milwaukee Brewers, got two pitchers who were basically relief pitchers with the Brewers, turned them into starters. One of them, Drew Rasmussen, who's pitching tonight, and all of a sudden they're superstars. Another pitcher who just recently got hurt and had to undergo Tommy John surgery, Jeffrey Springs, was just a middling pitcher. Okay, he was a relief pitcher. All of a sudden, last year they stretched him out. He became a starter. This year, he was one of the best starters in baseball. And he hurt his arm a week or so ago and is getting Tommy John surgery. But they just have a knack of taking guys. They take chances on guys. They sign guys who are hurt, knowing they're not going to play. Let them sit out a year. They take care of their physical, rehabilitation, and they come back and they become stars for the Rays. It's quite amazing. But a lot of
what is their payroll like? Middle of the road, low, high?
Low.
Oh wow.
They're probably in the bottom 25%.
Wow. Then what they're doing is incredible, really.
Yep, and they're very innovative. They basically started the opener, where you use a relief pitcher for an inning or two, and then follow him up. Now a lot of teams do that. They're the first team that actually started shifting on virtually every at bat. John Madden started doing that. Doing all the shifting. All of a sudden, everybody started doing it to the point where now they banned it.
They must have been doing something right if it's banned. Let's put it that way. Do you think
Go ahead. They also started doing the utility player. Virtually nobody on that team only plays one position. They have guys they can play first, they can play third, they can play the outfield. They got guys they can play every position, and other teams are adopting that as well.
One of the great things that's happening in baseball is the athletic skills have been so improved since the 50s, 60s, even the 70s and 80s in some ways. And with that in mind, what's one of the things in your mind that isn't good about the current game?
Well, a lot of injuries, and you would think that with these guys being in better shape than they ever have been, that wouldn't be the case. But I think sometimes they get overtrained. And right now, baseball is going through a stage where, there's a lot of different changes, a lot of old timers, me also, possibly you, we get all uppity about, they're going to change this, they're going to change that. Well, the changes that they made this year so far, it shortened the game, and I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Games are about 30 minutes shorter, than they used to be. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. They have the bigger bases, and pitchers are only allowed to step off twice per at bat. And people were mumbling about that. I was too. But now the stolen base has become part of the game again. So there's nothing wrong with that either.
Right. The one elephant in the room is the phantom runner on second in extra innings. Not all, but a lot of my memories of games and involve extra inning games. Phillies, Mets, 24 innings, that kind of thing. It doesn't happen all the time, but not having it happen at all, I think, is not good for the game. It's a fan will take an extended extra inning game and put that in their memory bank for life. And
I agree, but I don't see it going away because the players like it. Okay, the players don't want to be out there for 23, 24 innings. So,
I understand that. And that should be the injury factor with fatigue should be tied in to seeing the good in the phantom runner. So who knows? I just know this, that the Mets have Diaz went down, and the Mets have really rejuvenated their bullpen. Can you speak to that?
Well, yeah. I mean, they made a couple of really good moves before they knew Diaz was hurt, by signing David Robertson, to primarily be the eighth inning guy. They brought back Adam Ottavino. Okay, so now they had their seventh inning guy, eighth inning guy, and Diaz in the ninth. And then they brought in Brooks Raley, a lefty, okay, who has been very good. And Diaz went down, and they basically just backed these guys up. Robertson and Ottavino, depending on the lineup, pitched the eighth and the ninth most of the time. Raley comes in usually in the seventh. He's a lefty who can get out righties. And, their bullpen is good. The problem is that you worry about is that they're being used so much because they're not getting any length out of their starters. The other night in San Francisco, Lucchesi, who's making his first start in 2 years because of Tommy John, was the first Met pitcher to go 7 innings.
Well, he pitched a dandy of a game. Totally unexpected.
Now you hope that he comes back and he's able to sustain that. Some guys, they come back from Tommy John and they're better than they were before. And you hope that that's the case with him.
Right. I looked at a stat about the real Tommy John. He pitched 134 innings. What was it? He had 134 wins before Tommy John surgery and 168 afterwards. So he's a good poster boy for your career not being totally over. I remember Frank Tanana. I don't know if he had Tommy John surgery. I think so, because his career started out, he was a fireball, and he ended up either making adjustments for his aging, or in fact he was injured, and I don't remember which, he comes back as a junk ball pitcher, getting people out. So it can be done. You want to speak to the speaking of shortened starters getting less innings. Scherzer, after coming back, pitching 3 innings, he has an argument with the umpires that caused him to be ejected and suspended. Don't know what participated that, but the fact of the matter is he was so adamant about it just being rosin and sweat that you got to give the umpires some credit for they must have felt some sticky stuff on there, or, I mean, unless they're totally biased against the Mets, and I doubt that, his reaction, like, that could have been me. It was all rosin. I don't know. It left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, well, supposedly the umpires said that they still, a couple of innings later, hadn't gotten the stickiness off their own hands. And now, yeah,
that's funny.
Now it's possible, okay, that it was rosin and it was sweat, and the conditions, conspired that to make it extra sticky. I don't know. Rosin is a permitted substance, but it does say that it can be overused, and maybe Scherzer came up with a way of being legal technically and being illegal, but
right.
Right. They sent him off supposedly to wash his hand. He came back and it was still sticky, and so they decided to throw him out. Now the umpire that threw him out, okay, is responsible for the only 3 ejections, okay, for sticky substance. It's the same umpire. So you have to wonder about that also.
That's interesting. I really didn't dig and we both have sons. Him swearing on the life of his child that he wasn't doing it.
I thought that was rather tacky.
You're right. That's the best. If nothing else, tacky. That says it all. Whether he was lying about it or not. Is baseball, I'm reminded of the way Brett overreacted when that pine tar call was made. Is it that important? Do you have to have, I swear on the life of my kid, on the tip of your tongue? Maybe it says it all about the way our society is. Let's put it that way.
Well, it kind of reminded me, Ralph. You and I are both New York guys. Kind of remind me of some of the Italian mafia guys who would say, I swear on my mother, I swear, on my son,
right.
That's what that kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, and me thinketh thou overreacteth too much, that kind of thing. And apparently the 10 games isn't going to hurt them much. They'll miss a start from him. But on some level, he was coming back from an injury anyway. So right. It could end up working out better for them in the long run. Okay, let's go around the horn. I'm going to start with Alvarez a little bit. He hasn't thrown out any runners yet, but apparently he's pleasant to work with for the pitchers. Scherzer finds it.
Yeah. The pitch. Scherzer worked with him last year when he was went in on for his rehab, and had good things to say about him then. And in fact, DeGrom also, worked with him last year in the minors a little bit. Nobody on the Mets has thrown out a runner this year. Nito neither.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't realize that. Maybe
they're like old.
Maybe the 13 runners weren't all contributed by him. Maybe it's the whole staff they were talking about, but I don't know.
Well, he is over, but Nito is over also as far as throwing out runners. There's more of a concern with him with his bat right now. And you remember, back when they first brought him up and we had a show, I said, unless they're going to play him basically every day, they shouldn't have brought him up. And they haven't been playing him every day. And that's tough with him.
Yeah, but you made that statement before what's-his-name was hurt, which puts them gives them a lot of pressure to call up a catcher of some sort. And he was...
Well, they could have brought up Michael Perez. Okay, Michael Perez fought for them last year for a few weeks when both Nito and McCann were out. And,
but I don't think he's on the roster. I think they would have had to make a roster move to get him on the 40-man roster, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they would have. Yes, they would have, but their current catcher could have been put on the 60-day, and that could have easily been accommodated. I think there was some pressure. I personally, I don't think Buck wanted to bring him up at this point. I think he got some pressure probably from the front office. And so, Alvarez is up. He at least hit a home run yesterday, so maybe he'll start turning things around. But he needs to play. Sitting on the bench and only playing 2 or 3 times a week for a guy that young, not good. Same thing with Beatty.
Yeah, I was going to say Beatty's in the same situation. I think they have him penciled in as platooning with Escobar. And
that's what they've been doing, yes.
Yeah. He's got to seize the moment. So does Alvarez. That'll change a lot of thinking if he starts demanding by his good play, his good hitting, time in the lineup. So he's starting to hit. He's got hits in his last couple of games. He's fielded his position very well,
excellently.
Yes.
Okay, with that. So he's got that going for him. I know they want to keep Escobar, involved, so he'll get some at bats as well. And then you have 2 guys in Syracuse that are absolutely ripping the cover off the ball. Ronnie Mauricio.
And no position. Mauricio was rumored that they're going to play him at second base. Now,
right.
It's a hell of a time to learn second base. It's like we're talking about Mookie Betts, the same idea. All of a sudden, he's a shortstop, so you don't know what to expect from him. The other guy, Mauricio, could be a DH. Are you happy with Vogelsberg?
Yeah, I am. I mean, the team, loves him. He's really good on the bench. He gets on base. I mean, people complain about him. You look in the box scores, and he gets on base 1, 2, sometimes 3 times every game. He walks a lot. He is starting to hit now. One of the problems with him is that the Mets have faced so many lefty starters, that he hasn't really had a chance, to have more than 1 or 2 games in a row before he's back on the bench because there's a lefty facing him. So
right.
I do. I like him, even if they bring up Vientos to be a DH. Vientos is a right-handed hitter, so Vientos could be the right.
Yes,
could be the righty. Now, but then you have Tommy Pham, and Tommy Pham has been hitting, doing very well. So, they have a little bit of a dilemma of, exactly what they're going to do. If Mauricio comes up and plays second, McNeil goes to the outfield, then you really don't need. Yeah, well, you have Canna there. Canna could start playing, some DH. And Canna plays some first if they want to, rest Alonso. So, there's different things they can do. But then, what do you do with Guillorme?
Right. I don't think Escobar is long to the team.
I don't either. I think they're probably trying to work something out right now, trade-wise, which is probably one of the reasons why they're still platooning him with Beatty, because, if they're going to trade him, the team that gets him will want to have had him, ready to play. So
right.
I think that's one thing. And then, Guillorme may get traded as well.
Buck really likes Guillorme. He, for a couple of years now, he's been saying good things, and I don't think it'll be him that gets traded. Wouldn't surprise me if they package Escobar and Vientos. How do you pronounce it?
Vientos.
Yeah, and I wonder how much pitching they could get if they package those 2 guys, or any package.
I would kind of guess that they'd be looking to get a relief pitcher. You go back to Diaz's brother in Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. What will it take to get him? Are they still negotiating on that end of the spectrum?
Well, I have a feeling, you wait a little bit longer, and Cincinnati, falls further and further behind, which they are and they will. And then, they're liable to be a little more amenable, to making a deal. Right now, they're probably asking for everybody. They're probably asking for Mauricio. They're probably asking for Vientos. They're probably asking for, the moon. And, you let the season go a little further down the road, and they may be a little more amenable to, being more reasonable.
Right. Also, I have a philosophy that unless a guy has a good defensive pedigree, I wouldn't want to take a chance on him in a year with the competitors, and those we all know as Met fans, those years are few and far between. So I really respect that they're doing well now, despite Diaz's injury. And Nemo, I'm skipping from here to there. Nemo has been absolutely terrific in every phase of the game. He's fast, terrific outfielder, has been staying healthy, which in today's day and age, if you get guys to stay healthy, you're a competitor. So could be a Met year after all. Are you more confident than you were before the road trip, or do you think this was just an enigma and that they're, after all, a mediocre club?
Oh no, they're not a mediocre club. They're a much better team than that. They still have to become more consistent hitting. You know, if they get their pitching back, you know, and it's very possible that when Scherzer comes back, Verlander is going to come back as well. They say Verlander threw 3 innings bullpen the other day. He's going to have another bullpen later this week, and then he's going to pitch a game down in the minors. And if all goes well, he'll be back next week.
Okay.
And that'll be about the same time that Scherzer will be coming back. So you'll get the two of them back to go along. You know,
Luke Casey has punched things up in the expectation of him doing something. You got the Japanese kid going.
Right.
Carrasco, is he out for the year or months, weeks?
They're still not sure with Carrasco how long he's going to be out. You know, if Verlander and Scherzer come back, they're healthy, they can pitch regularly along with Senga. Hopefully Lucchesi can replicate what he did the other day. And, you know, they get a little something more out of McGill and Peterson. They'll be okay.
I was going to say, McGill is incredibly inconsistent. He pitches great a day, not so great a day. And that's frustrating. Speaking of McGill's, I'm going to ask Sam Stiff tomorrow on the Knicks show if he remembers Bill the Hill McGill, and I'll bet he does.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure Sam Stiff will. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted a little plug for the New York Knicks show. Sam Stiff has been just tremendous in supplying me with memories and insight as to what happened with those pre-Willis Reed teams. And, you know, he didn't play that game in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but Sam was on the bench when Wilt scored 100 points. And he's got some great insight to those Knick teams. When we get off, I'd like you because the current Knicks are my weakness, and they're in the playoffs. If you could list some questions for me and send them to me, you can't make it tomorrow for Sam's appearance. But if you could be kind enough to supply me some questions and that you'd like to know Sam's input on.
On the current Knicks?
Yeah, current Knicks.
Okay. Yep.
Jot
We'll
them down, and I'll credit you on the show. Because I really wanted to get the three of us together so you could be part of that show, Robert. And Sam is so hard to get. I've got him tomorrow at noon Pacific. So I got to get some questions. I don't want to appear to be an idiot, as opposed to everybody knowing that I'm an idiot. I'd rather keep them guessing for a little while longer. I've come this far, and nobody knows yet for sure. But but there's enough people that suspect that I'm going to need some good notes from you. Okay.
No problem.
All right. Anything that you'd like to talk about with the current Mets before we close it out?
Just that like to see them get healthy, and kind of waiting to see what they do with their younger players. I don't think you can keep Mauricio and Vientos in the minor leagues for the entire season, which is what I think they were planning on doing. But those two guys are just absolutely destroying AAA, and they both deserve a shot in the big leagues. So I'm kind of sitting and waiting to see what the Mets wind up doing on that front.
Good. Hey, let's plan on coming back next week, Robert. Same time, same bat station, and it's not the same Beatty station. It's the same bat station. So
well,
that gets
if he starts hitting, we'll call it the Beatty station.
That he's started fielding consistently leads me to believe everything will be all right, because he's never had any problem at any level hitting.
No, that's true.
And
I don't know if you remember back, but when David Wright first came up, okay, there were questions about him being able to field a position.
Right, and he became a terrific fielder.
Right, and I kind of see the same thing in Beatty. I see David Wright and Beatty. Beatty and David Wright. So I think he's going to be fine.
Good. We agree on that. We agree on most things these days, politically as well. Times are changing.
Yes.
A conservative, when we first met, isn't like a conservative now. The Republican Party isn't the same. And we've both come a long ways in mellowing our politics. Let's put it this way.
Yep. Yes. That is true. We're more to the middle.
Exactly. But the middle for us is not the same as the middle in Congress. I mean, when you have
there is no middle.
Right. And somebody asked me the other day, well, don't you want to communicate with these Trumpites or people that they're not going to change? I'm not going to change their minds. It's and that's what's really scary, is that there is no middle. And I just wonder, for our kids, more so than us, what it's going to be like 10, 15 years from now. And one good thing, DeSantis is going down the tubes. And I would say that the way Trump is going, and in terms of his lawsuits and whatever, it's going to split the Republican Party. And we may be rid of that sort of crazy right-wing nut job thinking after all. So we
can only hope.
We can only hope. Be well. Talk next week. Thank you for being here. Robert Cole, thank you for listening, everybody. I'm RalphTyko, the weak link of it all, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, the Mets in the Zone. Thanks again, everybody, and especially you, Robert. Be well.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Adios, everybody, and happy trails.
Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.